Hey guys, this is Comic Uno and Comic Frontline, and today I'm doing Comic Uno episode 118. Now this is a show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show, and I go worst pick of the week to best pick of the week. So let's get started. I only have 11 books this week. It's a really small week for me, but let's get started. What was number 11? What was worst pick of the week? And this book really wasn't that bad. It just ended up being in the bottom because there wasn't many books, like I said, for me. So number 11 is Grayson issue 13. So I started picking up Grayson because I really enjoyed Grayson issue 12. It just was one of my favorite issues I've read in a really long time, and I enjoyed it. Loved the Bat Family stuff. And then I read the annual, really enjoyed it, is him teaming up with Superman. But now, you know, the reason I'm still getting it digitally, I was waiting to see when he goes back to the espionage stuff, would I like it? And there's aspects I do like about it. We get to see that Tim's working with Dick and trying to help him because there's this woman that's, you know, has been watching him throughout all these years. We're trying to figure out who this woman is. That part I really like. But then the other stuff is just, you know, the regular espionage stuff. Helena's keeping some sort of secret. It seems like she's having these secret meetings. I think I would have to read previous Grayson stories to understand that a bit more. But artwork's beautiful, like I've been saying. I really like how they use Grayson's action. Like, I like that he does a lot of acrobatic moves, and I like that they pay attention to those details. So that's something I enjoy. Yeah, so artwork's beautiful, like I said, but the story just wasn't too intriguing for me, the espionage stuff. But once it goes back to Tim and, like, the Bat Family stuff, that's where I really enjoyed it the most. So I'll keep picking it up, see where it goes, but I wasn't as impressed with this issue as previous issues when he, I thought, balanced the espionage and the vigilante stuff a little bit better. So I give Grayson issue 13 3 stars, and that is number 11. Alright, moving on to number 10, which is Deathstroke issue 11. So this is a book that I keep picking up because I like Deathstroke, and I like Tony S. Daniel more as an artist than a writer, but I like his work, so I want to support it. And it kind of feels like it's going around in circles here, because with this issue, it's we see Slade, he gets his eye taken out again, so it's that story continuing, and he sees that Rose has been kidnapped, and he thinks it has to do with Harley and Deadshot because he owed something to them. He owed that he would kill Amanda Waller, hasn't done it yet, so he thinks it's kind of revenge. And we realize that has nothing to do with them, and now he's working with them, and Black Manta has brought him into the ocean and is starting to hurt him. And again, it goes back to this rounded circles. Like, it always has to do with either Rose or Jericho. Never actually seeing them. It just always has to do with, oh, I need to get my children. Never see them, or, you know, see him interact with them. And then, you know, has to do with some random DC villain or DC hero joining the party. And I just want to see a straightforward Deathstroke story without Harley Quinn, without any other characters besides his children. I want to see his children. I think the series would be better if they are actually in the series and not just talked about. I think the series would be more interesting, but I hate that they keep bringing these big names just to have the big names. I don't think they have to be there. I didn't think we needed a Black Manta cliffhanger just for Black Manta cliffhanger. Because you know in the end it's going to be like a misunderstanding and they'll end up working together. So I just feel like it's very much cop-outs and special guests, and I'm not a big fan of that. I want to see a true Deathstroke story. An arc, so hopefully you'll get that. It wasn't a bad issue. Artwork's pretty well done. I do like Rose, you know, that she's mentioned. I like that it has to do with Rose. I think it is at its best when we get to see the children, but still not totally what I want to see with Deathstroke. So I give issue 11 3 stars, and that is number 10. Moving on to number 9, which I'm kind of shocked this is a bit lower this week because I love this series, and it's the second to last issue, Prez issue 5. There's only one more issue, and I'm like, can they tell this full story with one more issue? I know it's supposed to be like a 12-issue miniseries, and then they shrunk it down, which I'm upset about because I think Prez is a really good series, and one of those under-the-radar DC series. But yeah, so Prez issue 5, in this issue we get to see that our main character is trying to apologize, to everybody. Beth is trying to apologize to Iraq, Japan, and she's going literally on an apology tour. And then she realizes that she is putting herself in danger, and then one of her, I don't know, I don't remember what role she had, but, the person that she actually used to work with that is now part of her, I don't want to say entourage, because it's definitely not entourage, but part of her group got hurt, and then she used, like, this heart that she got from a meat machine to help her friend out. And, I think she's finally realizing how dangerous this is, and will she be corrupted because of it? Will she realize, oh, that's why there's all this corruption, because I need to protect myself? And I like the ending where she says, it was a lot easier when someone else's life is on the line and not your own. So you kind of see, will Beth be selfish, or will she continue to be this open-minded president, in a way, and try to do the right thing, even if in hindsight it doesn't seem like the right thing to do. So it's an interesting balance of this morality question that I really enjoy. And then there's other stories going on too, where there's this cat flu going on, and you see how corrupted business is, that they actually could have the cure, but they're trying to deal with stocks, and I thought that was very interesting. And you see how the corporations are really against the government, and all they care about is money. They don't really care about people. So I love the social commentary in this book. It's a very heightened social commentary, but it's very interesting. It definitely touches upon interesting subjects, so I like that. And again, it's cool to see a teenage perspective of if you were the president of the United States, and how America got to the point that they elected a teenage president. Because, sure, her video went viral, so I enjoyed that. And yeah, I mean, the worry is that, are they going to be able to tell the complete story by next issue? I don't know. But I liked it. I really liked some art details also, where we get to see every country she went to, she kind of respectively dressed up for that country and for their culture. So I really liked those minor details there, so really enjoyed that. But the reason this is a bit lower is because I thought there was just a lot and too much going on at a lot of points. I'm like, alright, she's in an apology tour, she's here, she got exploded, there's more characters, there's a robot, there's so much going on in this issue. It was a little bit too much going on. So I'm sure it's because they have to squeeze everything, because they have less issues to tell the story now, but it did feel a bit cluttered. So Prez issue 5 gets 3.5 stars. And that's number 9. So let's move on to number 8, which is Van Helsing Vs Dracula issue 3. So with this book, we get to see there's these creatures attacking people that aren't quite vampires, but it seems like they're followers to Dracula. So now it's Van Helsing and her other partner is figuring out who are these people, and she's able to grab one of the helpers and find out exactly what Dracula's up to. And then the big cliffhanger is that her boyfriend comes back to try to help her, and he gets the tool that might be able to kill Dracula, and that's why he ran away, was to actually help her. So we'll see how that relationship works out in the next issue. But I thought this was a good issue. It's more of a lead-up issue to finally fighting Dracula. We haven't seen much of Dracula in this series, for, someone that's in the title, but it's been fun. I really like the artwork. I like Van Helsing as a character for the most part. She's not my favorite of the Zenescope universe, but I like how Patchen writes her. And I always like a good vampire hunter story. And yeah, it was a pretty good issue. It didn't blow me away, and I think there are some parts that are forgettable about it, but I'm excited to see her actually fight Dracula. So I gave that a 3.5. So now we're moving on to number 7, which is Kanan the Last Padawan, issue 7. And last issue I thought was a bit of a filler issue that tied into more of the Rebels television show and more of that time period. But this issue, I like that they actually went back to when Caleb was Caleb. Even though they've kind of already told that story of how he became a Jedi, or not a Jedi, but how he became Kanan. I like that, but I like they're going back to even further to now tell the story of how he met the person that trained him. So I enjoyed that, and we learned a little bit. I don't want to pronounce her name wrong. I want to say it starts with a B. So I'm just going to call her his trainer for a while. But I like that we see that she has a damaged past, and why no one's really choosing her to, for them to, well, the reason that the reason that people don't really want her to be their trainer is because that she has this damaged past, and it seems like she didn't purposely hurt people, but she wasn't able to protect people, and she has a lot of guilt against that. But there's a big cliffhanger in the end where there's this explosion. You're like, oh my god, are they gonna survive? And of course we know they do, but who's the person who did this explosion? So overall, I like the issue. There are parts in the end though where I didn't think the dialogue kind of fit the pictures showing, because as we see here with the trainer, she says, no, but I feel so much has happened, and then we have the explosion. So I didn't get the cliffhanger. Maybe I missed something, but I didn't get how those words fit the explosion. And then there's also something that repeated. This might be editorial, but here we get to see I don't know what to think in this panel. And that's off screen, so you know that means it's going to be in the next panel. And then he says it again in the next panel. Usually that doesn't end up happening. Usually you'll just say it here, and they'll have like different words here. So they have different, one part of the conversation, then you'll continue the conversation here, but he actually just repeated himself, so I thought that was a weird transition. So those are little nitpicks, but I recognized that as I read the issue. Overall, I had fun with the issue. I like that they're continuing to this journey instead of going to Rebels, because I feel like that's a bit repetitive. You can watch the show for that, but here you can actually get more of Caleb and more of him. But that also makes me fear of like how much they could tell with Caleb, how much further they could go with the story. How much can you tell about his past? I would really like to see maybe some of the other heroes of Rebels kind of get a spotlight and have their own stories. I think that would be kind of cool, and kind of switch off every time. So we'll see. I'm still enjoying the series, though. I thought this issue, again, was a lot better than the last issue, and I give it 3.5 stars. So we'll see where it goes. Alright, moving on to number 6, which is SpiderMan 2009 issue 2. So last week or 2 weeks ago, I didn't end up picking issue 1 up because I was kind of tired of SpiderMan 2009. I thought the last series was okay, and I was like, alright, I could skip this. And then the Frontline crew, when I was on Frontline Live, said, Kat, you have to pick this up. So I was like, alright, I'll pick it up and I'll read it. So I read it and I really enjoyed issue 1. I'm glad I picked it up. So thank you guys for recommending it. So I picked up this issue, and it's a bit more of a point A to point B issue. It's Miguel dealing with Tempest's death and him wanting revenge, and that leading him into the costume again. So that was kind of cool. But what I really liked is that we get to see more of Captain America, and I always forget the actual name of her, but we'll just call her her counterpart. So to see her counterpart, like, kind of remember that she was Captain America, so I like that. I'm excited to see more of the Captain America story, because I really like that from Secret Wars 2009, the miniseries. So I'm glad that she's added into this story, and I know we're going to see her even more throughout the series. But yeah, this is more of a point A to point B issue. I thought, obviously the last issue had a lot more going on in it, but it's definitely a needed issue. You have to deal with Miguel's feelings. I like that his robot thing, like, actually pretended to be Tempest. Like, no, never do that again. And I thought that's the direction they would go, is like having that robot just be Tempest for a while and like have her personality. But he's like, no, I don't want that. It's like too soon. I do think in the end that's what's gonna end up happening, just to have Tempest again. But yeah, I thought it was a good issue, good point A to point B issue. So I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars, and that's number 6. Moving on to number 5, which is Batman and Robin Eternal, issue 4. Finally made my top 5. And I thought this was a big improvement, especially with the artwork. And that's why it did make my top 5, because the artwork was just really well done. And I thought with the other issues, it was a bit more sloppier and a bit rushed. But here, I felt like they really took their time. And it was classic Batman-style artwork. So I enjoyed that. And with this issue, there's just a lot that happens. It's Dick Grayson trying to protect Bruce, Batgirl kind of coming in to save the day also, and then the other half with Cassandra and Harper interacting with each other, and Cassandra kind of just trying to brush off Harper, but Harper is showing that, no, I have strength, even though I'm, like, really damaged right now. I'm still going to try to stop you from running around doing whatever you're trying to do. And then Stephanie's just upset that everyone left her. She's like, where is everybody? And then Jason and Tim get upset. It's like, where is Cassandra and Harper? You're supposed to watch them. So I think Stephanie's role is definitely going to be less of a fighting role, and she even said, I'm the least experienced person here. Why did you leave me with them? And I think more of her role is going to be connecting with Cassandra and really talking to her. I think that's going to be Stephanie's role, and I'm excited about that because, like I've been saying, Stephanie was Cassandra's best friend in pre-New 52, and they really helped each other with different things. Cassandra taught her how to fight, and Stephanie kind of just taught her how to be social in a lot of ways and just have a friend. So I'm excited about that, and hopefully that will happen. And a really interesting cliffhanger is that Tim is being brainwashed by Mother now and has been working with Mother. So I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. So this is a very solid issue. Again, the artwork's an improvement. Every Bat Family member had a time to shine here. And if you have a favorite Bat Family member, they were probably in this issue. For the most part, at least the core Bat Family. So I enjoyed that part of it. And I thought it was a really solid issue. So Batman and Robin Eternal, issue 4, gets 4 stars. So that's number 5. All right, moving on to number 4. Yes, number 4, which is Batgirl issue 45. I enjoyed this issue. I'm going to say there are some continuity things that I thought was a little confusing. There's a part here where Dick Grayson and Luke meet, and Luke knows who Dick Grayson is, obviously, but Dick Grayson didn't know that Luke was Batwing. I was like, oh, I know that Batwing existed before Dick died, so I was like, how does he not know that Luke is Batwing, but Barbara did know that Luke was Batwing, so I was a little confused by that. But the whole issue is about closure between Barbara and Dick, and Dick trying to win Barbara over again, saying, hey, I'm back, let's do something about it, let's date again. And then Barbara's like, no, I'm happy now, and you can't just, like, come here and say, and expect me to just fall in your arms. That's not what's gonna happen. But doesn't mean I have a grudge against you. You're still my friend. We still have history. And that's really what the issue is all about, is showing their history. And how they used to act to how they're grown up now. And that's pretty much the whole issue. And showing that Dick will always watch over Batgirl and vice versa. We see that in Batman and Robin Eternal, that Batgirl will do anything for Dick and Dick will do anything for Batgirl. And they're going to help each other. And I like that. I like the closure here. But I did think it was a little weird that Dick Grayson just like jumps in during this wedding and thought this is the perfect time to talk. And it felt a little childish, and I don't think Dick Grayson's, at least older Dick Grayson's, that childish. I always felt he's always been the more stable-minded person, so thought that was a bit random, but their results were done well, and I like that there was this like game of cat and mouse where he steals the wedding ring, and Batgirl has to, or at least Barbara has to become Batgirl to try to get the wedding ring back and not ruin her dress. So I enjoyed those parts, and it reminded me of, old time Batgirl and Robin, and that's really the purpose of this issue, is to remind you where they were and where they're at now, and their relationship and how much they've gone through. So those are parts I enjoyed, and yeah, there are some continuity issues in the issue, and I mean, that always happens with Batgirl anyways, but it was a fun one-shot type issue. So Batgirl issue 45 gets 4 stars, and that is number 4. Alright, moving on to number 3, which is the Darkseid War Batman one-shot. Now, this is a book I originally was not going to get. I said, I have enough of Darkseid War. I'm just going to get the Justice League series. I feel like this is just me spending more money. But this was a really light week for me, so I was like, alright, I love Batman, so I'm going to go pick this up and see what it's about. And I am really happy I did, because it was just a really well done one-shot story in general. Yeah, it was a good tie into Darkseid War, and it actually does tie into the series, but I feel like this could be a standalone issue. I do think you have to know that Batman's this God thing now, but still a very well done standalone issue. Still have problems with the continuity, again going back to continuity, creativity over continuity thing, where only in this series that Batman is just God, and then Bruce Wayne doesn't even know he was Batman in other stories. So I don't like that, there's this big thing happening. It's not really connecting to anything else besides the Justice League stories. But at least we have this tie-in to give us a little bit more background on how Batman is dealing with being a god. Now, what I liked about this issue, though, is in this issue we get to see that Batman's mission, and we know this, Batman's mission's always been to try to stop crime and not have crime anymore in general. Now that he's a god, he believes he can do this. He thinks he can end his mission as Batman. But also in the process here, he thinks back to when Joe Chill killed his parents. And he realizes he can't stop it, but he wants to go see Joe Chill and see if he's changed. So he goes there, and he ends up bringing him back to the place that, Joe Chill killed his parents. So he realizes Joe Chill hasn't changed. He does not regret that he killed the Wayne family, and Bruce gets upset and tells him, I'm Bruce Wayne, because he says, I'm glad this little child, this rich kid, got nightmares. He says, I'm Bruce Wayne, you made Batman. So he brings him back to his cell and says, you know what, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm going to let everyone know that you created Batman. He's like, no, don't do that, and then he ends up not doing it, but he makes Joe Chill forget that, he knew who Batman was, and it's now Joe Chill, in this fetal position, and totally scared. He doesn't know why he's scared, but it's because of these experiences he had with Batman. Then the issue ends with Alfred saying, hey, you think it's time to get out of the seat now. And he says, no, I think this is great that I'm in the seat. It's doing a lot of great things. And he tries to get up and he can't. And it shows that the seat is pretty much controlling him. And now he wants to try to defeat the Joker with the seat. And that's the ending. And I thought this was a very powerful issue, because again, it wasn't just about, Batman being a god, but it's about that, it is about Batman being a god and what he would do with these godlike powers, but it's not just about the Darkseid war. I really like that. I went to the heart and soul of Batman, and what makes Batman tick, and the artwork was really well done, and I just was really pleasantly surprised with the story, so I give that 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Alright, so going to number 2, which is Revival, issue 34. Now, this is really hard to pick between Pick of the Week and this, because both these stories I gave 5 stars. I gave Revival 5 stars, and I rarely give 5 stars to any book, but Revival here, it's through Dana's point of view, and in the beginning of the issue, Dana just has this breakdown where she's upset that she wasn't able to help her sister. It's like, you screwed up, why didn't you, I told you not to do this, and then she kind of has this breakdown. And then we see that Dana's father calls and says, that guy I shot, he's dying. You never really get used to that. And now Wayne has realized, oh my God, my daughter died. I was supposed to protect her. When your mother died, I was supposed to protect her. And Dana feels that as, I thought it was my job to protect her also. I'm a parent myself, and if I can't protect my sister, how am I supposed to be a good mom, So we get to see that, and in the end, we find out that Wayne was the reason that their mother died, and he was actually drunk driving, and that's ended up happening, but they were able to cover it up. And then he never knew that Dana figured it out, but through her detective skills, which has always been about the series, she found out how her mom died, and that's why she was that rebel teenager, and did the things she did was out of spite, because she didn't like her father for killing her mother. And, now I'm saying, I know it wasn't your fault. I don't judge you. I don't hate you. But at that time, I did. So now we get to see more of the unraveling of the mystery of Revival. Because this guy talks about the first time he saw the ghost thing, which has been the big mystery of Revival. And gives Dana something. He's like, go here and, you'll find out more. And she obviously does her detective skills, and she goes there, and she's able to see the future, and she's like, oh my God, and we don't know what's going to happen with them, because there's not enough images here, but something bad's probably going to happen, and we find out that Aaron's still alive, and that Aaron's going to kill M, and that is what's going on here, and I guess Dana knows what's going to happen because of those images, and yeah, it was oh my god, I was blown away with this issue. I loved last issue because it was just a really emotional roller coaster, but the story didn't, the characters progressed, but the plot didn't progress as much. Here, you get a lot of emotion through Dana and Wayne. A lot. I mean, those three, I guess it was like 5 pages in the beginning, oh my god, tug on your heartstrings. But then, towards the middle of the issue, you really get to the crust of what Revival's about. It has always been a mystery story. It has always been a noir. I mean, it's a rural noir. That's what it says on the cover every single time. So it's a detective story. That's what it's always been about. So it goes back to Dana's instinct of being a detective, but also trying to protect her sister. And then she finds out the clue. She kind of looks at the future here. And she sees that M is going to do some bad stuff. And how Aaron's connected to it. Where Aaron is always that first suspect. So it's cool to see that Aaron, again, is coming back into the story. So overall, I was blown away by the issue. Artwork's amazing as always. But yeah, this issue is great. It really had everything you wanted. Progression in the mystery, character development, great artwork. So yeah, Revival issue 34 gets 5 stars for me. And that is number 2. So what made number 1 if Revival got 5 stars? And that was Black Magick issue 1. Now this is a new series from Image, and I kind of just randomly got this series. You know, the plot seemed interesting. I wasn't like, oh my god, I can't wait for Black Magick to come out. I didn't know enough about it. And I picked it up and I was like, I like noir stories, of course, because Revival was number 2. And all these Batman books are in my top 5. So I like detective stories. So I picked up this issue and I'm reading the first couple of pages like, generic circle of, witch type circle. And then something really interesting happens. So they're doing this spell and you're like, alright, we got witches going on. It's called Black Magick, of course. So, and then we get to see our main character, Rowan Black. Her phone rings in the middle of this intense spell, and then you have your main witch saying, whose phone is that? She's like, I'm sorry, it's mine. Let me see if it's important. So she's talking on the phone. It's like, it's work. I gotta go. And like, but we have to do this all over again. It's like, yeah, alright, but I gotta go. And I was like, alright, go do what you gotta do. So it's so funny because you think that this woman's about to kill her off and she's just like a henchman, but they're all friends. They're like, alright, we'll redo it, whatever. So I really enjoyed that. It was something totally different. And then we go into Rowan's, day job, her real job, where she's a detective, and she's going into this hostage situation, and this guy wants Rowan. She's like, I want to talk to her, and then her fellow cop's like, do you know this guy? He's like, I don't know who this is. So they're able to do a switch. She goes in with her, her mic and everything, and tries to talk to the guy, and the hostages go out. And this guy is threatening her and says, take your clothes off. What are you talking about? Is take your clothes off. So obviously, because she has a gun pointed at her, she takes her clothes off and she has to take the mic off. So the other cops are not hearing it at this point. And now he says, I know you're a witch. He's like, what are you talking about? It's like, I know you're a witch and I need to kill you because they're controlling me. And she ends up doing a spell and she's on, this puddle, this gas. And he puts the match to try to burn her because the only way to kill a witch, and she does a spell to burn him. He's like, I don't want to do this, but you made me do it. And by the end of the issue, the big cliffhanger is that this is happening again. So these people that are controlling, this group of people that are controlling this guy obviously have been enemies to the witches. So this book was really well done. What an issue 1 for an indie book should do is get you interested in the main character, A. And from that beginning panel, you're like, alright, this is an interesting book. It's something different. You have this phone call. It's totally different. And then you get to see the double life, which I really enjoyed. You get to see her personality, who she is, what she does. And then the plot's really introduced well, too, of that there's these people hunting witches, and we don't really know why. It's something we've seen a billion times, but shown in a different light. And that's what I liked about this book. It's that mystery element, and then you have that tension throughout the whole hostage situation. Hostage situations in stories, it's supposed to be that suspense moment. You're like, oh, what's going to happen next? And they play it really well in this issue. You're like, oh, what's going to happen next? Who is this person? You're learning about the character as you're dealing with this really suspense hostage situation. I thought it was a really good layout. And something that also impressed me was the wonderful artwork. Now, it is a black and white book, but it's not colored. It's colored, so that's what I like about it. A lot of black and white books will just, because of money wise, especially indie books, it just won't be colored, and sometimes it works for the story, sometimes it doesn't. But this is fully colored, and the way they mix the grays and the whites and the blacks is just total talent, and I loved it. And you get to see the emotion. It's cool because it's a noir book, and obviously you have those old detective stories in black and white, and those old detective movies, and you're playing it in this modern light. And it just worked. Everything worked for this book. I'm gushing over it. It's so good. And hopefully it'll continue to be this good and interesting. Because I'm already hooked. You got me. You got me with this first issue. And hopefully they could just continue this. Totally recommend Black Magick. It blew me away. I give it 5 stars. Pick it up. I'm going to be getting it printed next week. I really enjoyed it. So hope you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there's links for my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. I'll see you guys later. Bye.